We're going to talk about pros and cons first. If you're brand new to real estate investing, this can be helpful to you. Then we're going to talk about getting started if you're really just wanting to see how you might get into real estate investing. Then we're going to talk a little bit more sophisticated, talk about some estate planning and tax strategies, touching the surface of that around real estate investing. And then as a bonus, we're going to jump into some cash value strategies around real estate, which is one of Barry's fortes. And so with that, welcome, Barry. Let's jump
Thank
right
you.
in.
Yeah,
Pros,
yeah,
pros and
sure.
cons of real estate.
Well, pros, obviously, real estate has natural tax benefits. It's a tangible asset, unlike a stock or a mutual fund. And then obviously you want cash flow or a fix and flip where you're going to have profits. And we love the idea that we've got an asset that's producing cash flow, that you're getting depreciation, which are those tax benefits and other things too. A lot of write-offs that come with real estate. Generally, real estate appreciates in value, but some of the cons are real estate can go down in value, like a stock or like a mutual fund. It doesn't consistently earn returns every year. But if you have a cash flowing asset and you're producing positive cash flow, it may not matter what the ups and downs are throughout that cycle of your holding time frame. It's really, when are you ready to sell? What is the market like? But keep in mind that yes, it's a tangible asset, but your returns may be hit and miss depending on a market. Those values do go up and down in value. And you've also got to deal with tenants and trash. Now, there are other ways to kind of be hands off of real estate through REITs, which are real estate investment trusts, or there are companies that we can refer out that do kind of turnkey properties where you basically get the financing, they manage everything for you. They put the contracts together, they find the tenants, and they send you a check at the end of the month.
So your level of involvement, it can be limited based on those kinds of choices, or it can be the full exposure if someone wants to just go buy a property, handle it themselves.
And look, real estate isn't for everybody. So you've got to make sure that this fits your investor DNA. Some people love real estate. Some people would prefer not to be in it because of those cons and downsides that I mentioned. But yeah, be aware. And I always recommend, if you're wanting to get into it as a beginner, start local. So you can drive to the property if you need to. You can meet the tenants in person or get involved with a REIT company or some type of syndication where you're pooling your money with other investors. You always want to vet what you're getting into, right? Look at the numbers. Does it pencil? What are your cash on cash returns? What's the net operating income, cap rate? All those things come into play because a deal might look good at face value, but until you put a pencil to it, understand what's the interest rate on the loan that you're going to get, what's the time frame, is there an HOA, are there other fees that come into your monthly expenses? All these things have to be looked at when you're putting a pencil to it.
Right. And there really isn't a place to be going into a real estate investment without having some of those basics down. In other words, you want to understand the math, you want to understand your market, probably want to mentor a little bit if you really haven't gotten into these things yet. And I know we're probably going to touch on that more when we go to the next point, talking about getting started.
Yeah.
So
One of
what
the
are your
first things I
thoughts?
would recommend that people do, Steve, is the Insurance and Estates website is phenomenal for education. There are two videos in particular. One is how to boost your real estate income. We recommend that. And the other one is how to triple your real estate income. Those two webinars are found right on the Insurance and Estates website. And I go through some of these terms, cash on cash, NOI, so you can understand a little bit more. But then how to use other cash leverage assets to buy real estate. But yeah, to get started, education is key. Like I've used this example before. I'm not going to go out and perform surgery on someone tomorrow because that would be high risk, not only for me, but for the person that needs the surgery. But for a doctor, there's not much risk at all because the doctor has the experience, the education, the knowledge, etc. Well, the same thing holds true as a real estate investor. I've been a real estate investor for 17 years. And when I first got started, look, I've lost property. I've had property that's gone awry. And so I've learned from those experiences, but education is key. So learn the terms, learn how to pencil a deal, read books. Robert Kiyosaki's got some great things out there about real estate, but there are other real estate books out there as well. Get educated, no matter what you're investing in. The more you know about an investment, the better decisions you're going to make and the less risk you end up taking.
Right. And you've mentored a lot of people as well, Perry, I know. So you have a unique insight into this.
Yeah,
So
and let me
education,
let me address one other thing about getting started. You've got to have some cash, right? You've got to have a down payment in order to get started, whether it's 3% as a starter home or 20 or 30% because you're doing multifamily deals or whatever that might be. You've got to have some cash. So if you think, hey, I want to do real estate and you've got $0 of savings in your savings account, well, the first thing to do to get started is to start saving money, whether that's in your savings account or what we recommend, which is high cash value, infinite banking whole life. We're going to get to that in a minute. But there are other ways to save money to be prepared to take down some of these real estate deals. So start with that if nothing else.
right? And I think sometimes people think OPM, I can maybe get other investors, but really you got to have some experience probably to go that route. And usually you want your down payment regardless. Most investors are reliant upon some kind of cash reserve for down payment.
Yeah, look, can you use other people's money? Sure. There are deals where you can get into hard money lending and bridge lending, and someone else can come in with your down payment, but it can get really expensive. Uh, so, cash is king. You hear that in the real estate world. Cash is king. So, regardless, still be prepared. There are other options out there where you can do some wholesaling, where you lock down a contract and then you sell the contract. That doesn't take any money to do, but those deals are usually pretty rare. So, regardless, whatever real estate you want to get in, you could do a little bit of everything: the wholesaling, the REITs, the fix and flips, single family residential, commercial, warehouse, multifamily. There's a lot of ways to pursue real estate investing. At some point, you're going to need some cash.
So people could fall into a niche that you're pointing that out, right?
Yeah.
They might get some experience in single family homes or whatnot, and then fall into an area that they really have a lot of opportunity and enjoy. So just to reiterate what you just said, Barry. So people need to get educated. There's so many books out there, Kiyosaki and others. People would benefit from a lot of the things that we have on our website. We've done a lot to try to help people understand the investing component and also accumulating the cash reserves, which I know you're going to get to. So those are great points. And of course, you've personally mentored a lot of people, and that's another possibility for folks watching. So let's jump into the next component then. So if people are getting started, but they want to think about what can I do with this, or if they're already in the process, we want to talk about estate planning, tax planning as it relates to real estate. What kinds of advantages do you usually discuss with people?
I do recommend holding real estate in an LLC, right? Separate from you individually. An LLC can give you another layer of protection. And then as far as a trust, you can hold real estate in a trust. You can hold LLCs in a trust. This is, right up your alley in your world as an estate planner, that
Right.
these things can give a real estate investor an added layer of protection.
Yeah.
I love the tax benefits. Right now, if you hold real estate until the day you die and you pass that real estate on to your children, there's a step up in basis. So if you buy a property, let's say for $250,000, hold on to it for a lifetime, and it grows to $1 million, and you die and you're the owner of that real estate and you pass it on, your beneficiaries now have a step up in basis on the million. They don't pay tax on the 750,000 of gains. The mistake that some people make is they sell it before they pass. Now they've got potential capital gains. If it's the property that you're living in, that's a different story because there's a $500,000 exemption for that. But you've got capital gains, so you want to understand the planning and the dynamics of the real estate you're holding. Some of you do want to hold real estate until the day you die. There are benefits to that. Some of you want to sell before you die. Well, how do you either do a 1031 exchange and roll that into another real estate property where you don't pay the tax, you defer the tax? There's some other things out there called a DST. DST stands for two things. The one I'm talking about specifically is a deferred sales trust, where you can have a large capital gain, either real estate, business, crypto, whatever it might be, and defer that tax. So if you are a real estate investor and you're thinking, man, I don't want to sell because I'm going to get hit with millions of dollars in taxes, look at a DST. We can walk you through that and defer the tax, but then use the money for some other things. It's pretty cool in that regard. Steve, what would you say as an estate attorney when it comes to real estate and helping someone put these plans together?
Well, I think you touched on some very powerful points, and we could do a whole show just on this topic. But real estate is a massive estate and legacy planning vehicle for the reasons that you mentioned, Barry. The step up in basis carrying through from generation to generation. You basically have two huge wins from an estate planning standpoint. One is real estate with the step up. The other one is life insurance proceeds that go tax-free, liquid to the next generation. So you combine those, it's a huge win from an estate and legacy planning standpoint. The other thing you touched on with the DST, that's an option for folks. You would want some kind of legal knowledge in putting something like that together. The other one that's pretty easy is the 1031 exchange. So, if you have a piece of property that's non-homestead, it's not your residence, you can 1031 those proceeds, like you said, and upgrade and keep that way. You keep increasing your real estate holdings. So imagine being able to do that and then up to the date of death and then have a step up in basis. So that's a very powerful combination, along with what I know we're going to talk about. Any other thoughts, tax and estate planning, that you think are important for people to know?
Well, let me give you a real life example. I've got a client right now. He's in underwriting. His mother's in underwriting. And he is in this situation where his mother bought property in California, $250,000, $300,000 for the real estate. It's now worth today like $3 million. And I said to him, if she has no plans to sell it, don't ever sell it, because you want that step up in basis upon her passing. That's a huge influx of cash that you don't have to report to the IRS and pay tax on.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen in the future with tax laws, but as it sits today in 2025, that's a powerful strategy. But regardless, real estate still has natural tax benefits that you can't get anywhere else. I want to address one thing, and that is a self-directed IRA. If you have a self-directed IRA and you go buy real estate, you can have that real estate growing in the IRA tax deferred. If it's a self-directed Roth IRA, now it's all tax-free. But here's the caveat. Don't ever put new money into a self-directed IRA. It would only be old money, old IRA money, old Roth IRA money, because the natural tax benefits of real estate are good for old money on a self-directed IRA, but not new money. There's reasons for that, but just that's a little nugget for you out there that are thinking about a self-directed IRA. Only old money do we recommend that you use for a self-directed IRA to purchase real estate.
Yeah, terrific point, because you got a couple of different buckets that you're working there. So you got your tax deferred bucket and your tax free bucket, essentially, right? Is that what you're getting at? And you don't want to combine the two and mess up the equation. So I think that's a great point. And I think real estate planning, the secrets of the wealthy buy assets. This is Robert Kiyosaki. So what are they doing with these assets? I think you just painted a beautiful picture of what they're doing, and that leads to the next question, right? How do we accumulate capital? How do we safeguard it? You can throw it in a bank account, but we've often talked that there's much preferable options to that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. We love dividend paying, high cash value whole life insurance for real estate. You put money into a properly structured whole life policy that's specifically designed to maximize cash value. That money is growing guaranteed, the cash is liquid, and you're able to use that money 100% tax free. So, what I do is I take policy loans for the down payment on my real estate deals from my policies, go buy the real estate. I take my positive cash flow, I pay the bank loan, I pay my policy loan, and I still have free cash flow left over. And my real estate deal is penciled for that. The reason we use high cash value whole life is because you're getting benefits along the way. And check this out. Let's say you've got $100,000 of cash value in your policy, and you take an $80,000 loan for a down payment. The life insurance company does not physically remove the 80,000 from your 100,000 cash value. So you're still earning interest and dividends on your $100,000 in your policy, and you're making money in your real estate deal. Two places at the same time generating cash flow for you. And that's just one advantage. As an estate attorney, you understand, right? The death benefit tax free and future
Yeah,
tax free income, all that comes into play. And leverage. You mentioned, what do the wealthy do? The
right.
wealthy leverage assets,
To
even if
buy
they
it.
have equity. Yeah, if they have equity, even in their real estate deals, they'll do cash out refis or maybe a second mortgage. They'll use that equity tax free to go buy more real estate. Well, we're saying the same thing. Dividend paying whole life policy is an asset. It's building up cash value on a compound growth curve every year. You can leverage that cash and go buy more real estate.
So leverage upon leverage, which is really getting into the wealthy secrets mindset. And I'm glad we're kind of tipping the iceberg, or hitting the tip of the iceberg on that a little bit in this video. But there's another thing, you talk about people doing cash out refis. There's different options. There's obviously things that like HELOCs, but now there's equity share companies where actually are taking a share of the equity in real estate. Maybe you've come across it, Barry, where they're not requiring a repayment. It's almost like a HELOC, but there's no repayment on that. And so leverage is the name of the game. This cash value leverage is a powerful tool, and when you add it to the other tools and resources that are available, it gets very exciting for people building wealth, for sure.
It really does. And I just heard this from a client 2 days ago. He said, well, I'm borrowing my own money. Why would I borrow my own money? And I had to be adamant and say, no, you're not borrowing your own money from your policy. And Dave Ramsey gets this wrong too. And he thinks he's right. It's crazy. Life insurance companies lend you the money. They give you a loan. They use your cash value as collateral. But that money is not physically removed from your cash value. There's a lien placed against it. But that's why in the example that I gave before, even though you have an $80,000 loan, you're still earning interest and dividends on that $100,000 total because you didn't borrow your own money. You borrowed the insurance company's money. That's OPM right there. Other people's money, get bank financing as well. The powerfulness behind this is you've leveraged the asset and you're now making money in two places at the same time. And guess what? The insurance company doesn't care how you pay the loan back. It really is your own bank. They don't care what you use the money for, and they're not asking you questions and requiring you to fill out this inch thick of paperwork. It's usually a direct deposit within 3 to 7 business days of you making that request. So you've got all this freedom. You get to decide how you want to pay the loan back, and you're still making money on your total cash value.
Super flexible repayment terms, no application process, and then in addition, really extremely reasonable terms for the loans too, which we haven't gotten into. compared to any other kind of loan that you can go get at a bank. So very exciting. The one piece I want to touch on with you, Barry, before we wrap up today is just the accumulation of cash is the other piece of it, right? If people are saving cash and they're doing that with just a bank account, kind of a tough way to save money when you're getting a nominal rate of interest in a bank account. Do you want to speak to that a little bit when it comes to the cash value account that you're talking about?
Yeah, and that bank account you're talking about, Steve, is taxable. So
Mhm.
nominal interest and it's taxable. The reason we want accumulation in a dividend paying whole life policy is because it's a guaranteed return and those dividends are reinvested back into cash. So now you're earning compound interest on the cash. Most people are netting around a 5% net tax free number, which might be like earning 7 to 9% in the market, right? Depending on your tax bracket. So
Yeah.
7 to 9% taxable, no volatility, 5% tax free is remarkable, knowing that you've got this sleep well at night product. The cash is liquid. You're not locking your money up until you're 59 and a half, penalty free, tax free use of that money. It's a remarkable asset. And I've heard from real estate investors that are sitting on cash in a bank account, like you mentioned, they
Yeah.
get anxious. I've got this money, it's burning a hole in my pocket. I've got to go get a real estate deal. And they make a bad decision because they feel like this money is not working the way that it should. What I tell people is look, if you've got that same cash sitting in a policy, earning guaranteed return, tax free, liquid, you can be more patient when you're looking for a deal because you're making money in the policy. It's going
Yeah.
to give you more peace of mind to then find the real estate property that you really want, take the policy loan, take a bank loan if necessary, and lock down the property. A much safer place to store cash. And in most states, the cash
Mm.
value in a policy is protected from creditors, lawsuits, and even bankruptcy. So you're a business owner, you're worried about cash, protection, man, whole life insurance is a remarkable asset for that type of protection.
Yeah, you read my mind on the state asset protection, Barry. It's really easy to go put a lien on a bank account if you're somebody that wants to get money from somebody else. When you have state asset protection, protects that. So guaranteed growth, tax-free dividends. What you have is true compounding with that money. So you're going to do well to accumulate your investment capital in there, liquid. All really, really intriguing points, I'm sure, for anyone listening that's either getting started or already well into a real estate investing career.
Yeah, agreed. We would recommend that you look at your own numbers, watch the videos on the Insurance and Estates website, how to boost your real estate income with infinite banking, how to triple your real estate income with infinite banking. The webinars are very educational, but look at your own numbers. Does it make sense for you? We want to show you then, once you have a policy set up, how to use a policy. You mentioned, Steve, I mentor my clients. They'll bring real estate deals to me. I'll give them a second opinion and then advise them like, how should you take a loan? How do you pay it back? All that. So look at your own numbers because you want to see specifically how these cash values will grow in your world, how you can use policy loans for real estate. That's the key. Leverage the asset, go buy more real estate, go create more wealth.
Perfect. Thank you, Barry, as always. Great thoughts. If you're watching, our goal is to help you, to empower you in this journey to build true wealth, to build freedom, to build flexibility, to utilize all these tools to maximize whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So glad that you joined us today. Wherever you're watching, there'll be a link. You're ready to look at your own numbers with Barry. You'll be able to find him and schedule. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us.